All right, I'm welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Thursday, July 13th, 2023. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. Anyways, let's get into it today. So, little bit of a 0DT blowout here, unless they push it down in the next 30 minutes, but looks like we're seeing some forced buying, market makers being forced to take on some more risk. We have a pretty good gamma wall today at 4,500. And it is kind of floating through that. Markets are really, for the movement here, they are kind of asleep. 48 million shares on the SPY at about 3:30 p.m. here, but they are through that little gamma wall there on the 0DTE tape, and so we are getting a continued push up. Obviously, the PPI number came out today, but markets were really up before that, right? So we were, if we take a look at the futures, here's your PPI number, and here's the close yesterday. We were just kind of chugging up all night long, and again, we talked about this. This is kind of what forced buying can do. We are slightly through that psychological 4,500 level there on the SPX, and there's another level right at 4510, 4515. There's that pivot high right there, but into that red bar there, little curl up, and we're pushing up here. 1, 2, 3, 4 gaps in a row on the SPX, so a little stretched on the hourly. I would have thought today would have been more of an inside day. Looking at that RSI, take a look at the RSI on the NQ. Just completely stretched there, and on the 4-hour as well. I would have thought today would have been more of an inside day, and I kind of mentioned that yesterday. And then I would expect this type of price action tomorrow. But obviously we're getting that right here. So markets here pushing up. We are seeing a little bit of protection buying. VIX kind of trying to put in those higher lows there. It did go green for a minute, but that's natural. As you see, the markets, gap up on light volume like that, and you get through psychological levels, it's natural to see some protection being bought there. But Spider's having a good day there. SPX up just under 1%. Triple Qs here up 1.75. Again, big tech leaders again. Tesla up 2.5. Amazon 2.75. That can get to 135 and change. Microsoft back above these pivots here. Some resistance with that red bar. Apple getting, just continuing to hold that 20 period moving average. We do have the rebalancing coming out. I did not check. I'm not sure if that did get released yet. The exact details of that. But, maybe they're trying to get one more good pump in with those big tech names before that happens. Certainly possible here. Again, it didn't seem like the PPI numbers affected anything. We had jobless claims too. Market was up before then. We kind of made up its mind. And again, I do think you're seeing some forced buying. We are seeing a few other sectors start to catch up. One of them, which we'll get into at the end as always, but Bitcoin starting to push higher. So there we go. Looking at 32.5. Some of the Bitcoin equities, Riot, piercing 20 bucks. This is stretched as you can get here, up over 100% since the 15th. So not even a month. And I closed it at 15 for just about 30%, thinking that was a good gain. Marathon here, that should have some resistance at 20 bucks with that breakdown, but these are holding up really well. And Bitcoin finally playing catch up here. Dollar index taking a hit. We'll talk about that as well. But right now, Spider's holding up. And we're into that psychological 450 area there. Not meaning to put that on there. There we go. So again, you're coming up into that. And we did hit that 7.5 retrace yesterday as well. So either way, markets here holding up. A little stretched here short term. We'll see what they do going into tomorrow. Might need an inside day to cool off some of those oscillators as it is getting pretty stretched. On the shorter term time frames, there's the triple Qs. There is a little bit of a level also here on the Qs at 280. So if we take this is kind of your area we rolled over, and then you had these pivots right in that area. So we're basically right into that right now. And then of course there's that red bar high right there at about 390. So triple Qs here, man, what a move. 310 on the 25th, and it's July 13th, and we're at basically 380 there. So triple Qs here, that's kind of your next level of interest. Again, we are a little stretched here short term, but continuing to hold up. The Russell's getting a bid as well, although still into this level here. So we talked about 192, that did get hit, and we are pushing up a little bit, 193.50. There's some pivots that we're coming into as well, and that 100-week moving average. So we'll see how that stalls out. Be watching this tomorrow too. 191.74. Close above that does negate that red bar for the Russell, so that is a sign of strength here in the near term. The diamond here, again, holding up, hitting 345. If this consolidates here, they should have upside bias to at least 348, so that looks okay right now. Just some chopping around. Nothing more than some weekly consolidation right now, so no real issues there. For the DIA, SMH continuing to push higher, so that looks like it wants to go test double top. It's not that far off here. 159.41. We're about $1 away there, so SMH holding up. Again, obviously mainly on the back of NVIDIA. So NVIDIA continuing to curl back up there. That is through 450. Through 450 now. And again, this is what happens when you get forced buying. Put decay, Vanna, and charm effects. IGV. So above resistance here. I thought this would need to consolidate more, but hey, markets are holding up. Nice pattern there. You have a lot of resistance in here, but you're getting a bid on good volume. So IGV pushing through that next level is 367. That seems to be hanging in there just fine. Again, little stretched here, 340 to 360 in a couple of days, but no real problems there with the chart. Dow Transports here, really kind of flattish today. Delta did have earnings. They did beat, now red. So kind of a gap and crap there for Delta. I think I mentioned to you guys about $50. If that can get up into that area, right, what'd you take, 35 to 50 in like a month and a half. So, and this is not a tech stock, it's Delta Airlines. So little stretched here. We had a gap up, a little bit of a gap and crap there, maybe even a weekly topping tail if that can get some more volume. So Delta a little overdone here, and we do have some more airlines reporting. By the way, banks reporting tomorrow, which we'll get into as well. JPM, United Health, which has been beaten down here. Very interested to see their earnings tomorrow morning. But either way, transports here, no real problems. No confirmation above this pivot though today. So again, nothing wrong with the chart, but it is a little stretched here. So just be aware of that. All right, interest rates here. So we'll get over. And we'll look at the 2-year. So 2-year pulling back still. So at 4.6. Next level is going to be right around that 50 moving average. There's also a pivot right in this area. If you get through that, it's down to 4.25. Maybe 4.3. The 200 moving average at 4.4. So there's lots of levels here. Even if rates pull back a little bit more, they're still not going much lower here. That goes for the 5-year as well. We have some support there around 383. 10-year back below this trend line. But again, this is not going that much lower. I just don't see it here for rates. Same thing with the 30-year. Again, struggling to get through 4%. But again, we have that nice ascending triangle look on the weekly. Right there. So a nice pattern there. Maybe that gets down into this area one more time. But you put another higher low, this is going to go higher. So I still am bullish rates. Obviously, that does not affect markets if you've been watching the channel, unless this is above the Fed funds rate, which it is not. But either way, speaking of the 2-year being above the Fed funds rate. But either way, still bullish rates. And in any case, a little bit of pullback. Anyways, over to XHB, continuing higher here. That probably wants double top. Right, so weekly. 86 and change, probably a pierce of that. There is some resistance in here, so you may need to do some stalling out, but, it's had a big run. You're a little stretched from that 20 moving average on the weekly again still, but nothing to say it can't go higher right now. ITB, same thing. That's at an all-time high. Nobody knows where that train is going to stop, although you could use XHB as a proxy and say if it gets to 86, then you could look for maybe ITB to pull back off of the kind of sympathy play. They're basically the same ETF anyways. VNQ, no real confirmation. I would like to see a close above this high, but you are sustaining for once above 84, so we'll give this one the benefit of the doubt, going into a little bit of a breakdown area. But if this flags, this can set up. So VNQ finally starting to shape up a little bit. The really big level is 87.41 on a weekly close. You can also take a look here, and we're going to just get rid of this because this is old. We don't need this anymore. One thing you can look at here is you got a weekly trend line right there. And, we're basically into that right now. So right in that area, you get a pullback there. If you can hold 84, maybe this can push up. Again, we do have those higher lows setting up. So this is in a lot better shape right now. But either way, still a little bit of resistance like that trend line right there. And we'll watch this one moving forward. Anyways, over to XLF. So that is decently higher today, up 1/3%. But again, JPM, Wells Fargo, BlackRock, Citigroup. Those are the big ones reporting tomorrow. I think that's it. And then I believe next week we get kind of the rest of them. But either way here, JPM having a decent day. XLF still has that weak look though. The only bank I really like here is JPM. Maybe these guys can get bids, Goldman, maybe Morgan Stanley's, Wells Fargo, maybe they can get a bid. Citigroup, short covering could be a thing. You also have kind of a wedge here, taking a look at Citi. So right there. Could be something to watch. I can never tell you which way earnings are going to go. It's always a crapshoot, but either way, we'll see how the market reacts to those earnings tomorrow. KRE a little bit higher here today. Still has resistance there, especially with that 100 moving average. And then KBE higher here. We're going to call this triggered here. So I'm just going to try to get that more exact. So I'm going to call that a daily trigger of the head and shoulder, or inverse head and shoulder on this KBE. But we're really going to watch the weekly, though. So if we close back below this on a weekly, it's not triggered yet. That's the way I'm going to go off of it, just because you can see it clearly on the weekly, and the weekly is more dominant. But either way, potential pattern there to watch on KBE. That is, shaping up a little bit better. KRE, I'm not as hot on. I know you can make a case that has the same kind of setup there. I just think commercial real estate is going to be an issue in the fall. But either way, we'll watch those patterns moving forward there. All right, broker dealers here pushing higher again. Where did they go? Guess where? 490. So there you are, red bar high. 492.82. So maybe a little bit more upside again. Generalization 490 area. But nice bid there. That may need to stall out a little bit, but no real problems on the XBD. All right, over to crude here. So crude up another 2%. Again, into that 200 MA. We said that was potential upside target. And that got hit here, again, basically coinciding with that trend line. You get the 50-week moving average up there at 79 as well. So there's lots of little levels here on crude. Bigger levels that we're going to watch right here. So 76.69. This reminds me a lot of OIH, right? Because there's a big weekly red bar, and then there's another one that's very important. And OIH got through both of them. So let's just get this exact 76.69. A weekly close above that is bullish. So that negates that red bar. This level still needs to get negated, but we're not there yet, one step at a time. It's very interesting, right? So we got the supposed CPI slowdown, weaker numbers, but crude's rallying. Just interesting stuff to watch. And commodities are rallying, which we'll get into in a second. But anyways, that's the level to watch tomorrow on crude. XLE, inside day, no problems. It stalled out at the 200 MA. Again, the level for this. I'm just going to get rid of this because I don't care about it. And again, you can see it right here, 85.08. So we put all these in for you guys so you can draw them in if you like. Right there. You close above that, that's negated bearish and sidebar. So that's the level to look at. XOP. It looks like we're going to close above this level here. It doesn't really matter. I guess we already did. So that's a little bit better shape anyways. We got that little trend line breakout right there. And again, stalling out. I told you 135. That's where it stalled out. All right, OIH. It's green. Still kind of an inside day by the close for the most part here, it looks like. Good volume here. Okay, so I like the move. Again, it should stall out. I know it's had some big pop this last week, but it should stall out into this area. Any pullbacks, I think, can be bought, though. So I do like the OIH here. Nice bid. Nat gas here, continuing to kind of just get stuck in this channel here. You got that green bar, and now you're just in this area here. So we'll be watching that tomorrow. This is the lower end here around 247, and the upper end currently down sloping at 270. So watching that channel here for a push. Anyways, dollar index. So this is what I want to get into more so. I'll pull it up on TradingView. So dollar breaking this psychological 100 level. I think short term it's a little overdone here. Wouldn't be surprised to get some type of defensive 100, maybe even just a bid to 101.50, but I do not like the dollar right now at all. So we hit this level, lower highs, and now we're pushing through it. I talked about this a few weeks ago. It was bullish that we got back above this candle, and then we failed and got below this. We turned neutral to bearish ever since then. Then you got a bearish inside bar that played out to the downside. You'll have some support at 98, but after that, I mean, you got 96 and then 94. So dollar is in trouble here, and that is lifting commodities. The ironic part here is that CPI is supposedly falling. If you want a catalyst for what could cause inflation to come back, that could be it. So we're seeing gold, silver, crude, some of these commodities start to pick back up. Something to watch moving forward. Short term, it probably gets a bounce, maybe at least to retest that 20 DMA. But either way, I don't like what the dollar is doing right here. It's definitely on the weaker side, and that's a pretty good breakdown. Gold here, a little soft considering the dollar weakness. I know everybody's liking the precious metals right now. Silver we'll talk about in a second. But gold here still stalling out at that 1970 area. So that is still running into a little bit of trouble with that 50 MA. Daily BB kind of flattening out there. So telling us that, maybe it needs to stall out. But either way, and you are going into some resistance here, but watching gold, it's a little not concerning, I wouldn't say. It's noteworthy that the gold is flat. It actually turned red at one point if you see the GLD there, with the dollar getting walloped like it is. Silver, on the other hand, I've been telling you guys, is more bullish than gold since September, and that has been the case here. I really wish we got down to 21. That was my level. We never quite got there. That doesn't mean that you missed a move. I know I got a lot of messages from people today and yesterday. We missed a move. That's it. We're never going to buy a stock ever again. Listen, there's going to be plenty of trades out there. Don't worry about missing moves. There's stocks that go up 25, 30% every day. We miss moves every single day, but nothing goes up in a straight line. I still remember people telling me, you got to buy in 2020. I remember WPM, people were saying, oh, you got to buy WPM. It's 50, but you're never going to get it this cheap again. And look at where it is now, 44. So don't worry about missing moves. Things will give you a consolidation. If you FOMO'd into gold in 2020, you're still, stuck in that. Let it give you consolidation. You're going up into a psychological level, 25. There's a red bar right there on the weekly. And you can see it there on the daily as well. Good volume. This is your breakdown level, right? It tried to hold this as support. Boom. Just came down. Should be resistance. Now, it is a commodity. It's silver, so it can overshoot. I can't rule that out. You have good volume too. But don't chase it. Just let it pull back. Let it give you a pattern. Let it give you a flag. And then if you want to jump on, then we can jump on. But don't freak out about things. I mean, I still remember we were short silver up here at 26, and I had people freaking out like, how can you short silver up here? We got to buy, and we came all the way down to 22. So, but PMs, regardless, nice pop there, holding up decently, up 3% on silver futures. We'll watch that at 25 though. Platinum getting a nice bid, up 3% as well. That should have some resistance up here. There's your green bar pivot, 200 MA, 100 MA, 50 MA, 1,000 psychological whole round number. So we'll see how that behaves. Believe it or not, this can still get down into this area. So don't think that you missed anything on these, by the way. But right now it's getting a bid. Not doing anything with it. Palladium getting a bid as well. This is still soft. This can still go a little bit lower. I like this weekly falling wedge. I would love one more push lower on palladium. And if we go to a monthly, if you can get it in sub 1100, I mean, kind of like it right there. Big breakout area. So we'll watch that, but nice falling wedge there as well that I'm keeping an eye on. Copper bucking the trend here. 395, so nice pump there. Higher low. Maybe it doesn't get down to 340 after all. We'll have to see how it behaves at $4. But that looks like that looks to me like where it wants to go. But nice pump there for copper. Also something that could be inflationary here. All right, lastly, over to crypto. So Bitcoin finally on the move, new highs, 52-week highs, if I'm not mistaken, July. Yeah, 52-week highs for Bitcoin. So that should get to 32.5, maybe 33. There's a little pivot there, but no problems right now. Maybe it overshoots a little bit. I know some people are calling for 34, 35. It's possible. You've got a nice base here. You know, you look at the weekly. You know, I would have preferred one more week of inside, but that's fine. It's getting a bid here. We talked about some of these equities. Riot just surging higher. Marathon, MSTR, Hive, Hut. So those are all getting a bid continually. I think they are a little stretched here. But Bitcoin, that should get to that 32.5 area. ETH, nice pop. And it's got a power bid on volume. We said 20 to 2020, and we basically got there today. 2012, you'll have some resistance at that red bar, and then red bar high, and then this red bar here. So coming into a level, but you do have volume, so you may overshoot it a little bit. But either way, the sector is finally starting to catch up as far as the coins themselves, catching up to the equities. But either way, nice pop there for Bitcoin, and that looks to be on track. Okay, lastly, over to the spiders here. So yeah, we're sitting right at 450. And market's just continuing to kind of float up here again, right into that level there on the Qs that we pointed out earlier. Look at NVIDIA here, just running away intraday. Either way, we'll watch that going to tomorrow, 380. Markets are a little stretched, may need to do some pulling back, kind of cooling off some of those oscillators. But right now, trend is up and things look fine. So anyways, guys, going to wrap up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I'll talk to you guys all tomorrow.